Hi guys, in this video we're going to make a little Baby Groot cake. So I found a picture online and I've just cut that out. I've printed it to the size I want my cake to be, and I just want to find a board that's big enough for him to go on. Now, to save me cutting loads off, I've tried to bake a cake that's the closest size and shape to the head. So just check he fits on there, he fits roughly. And then I've trimmed mine into 3. So just level across. Obviously, depending how deep you do it will depend how many layers you want to cut into it. So I'm just going to trim his head off his body. And I've got a slightly smaller cake card now. It's just a little bit smaller than his head, but that's fine. So I'm going to trace around his head now. I've turned my card on my little cake board over so that I'm drawing on the back of it, which means I've turned the template over as well. So cut through that. Now, it's not accurate, but I'm hoping you're not going to see too much of the board, so that should be fine. It's just a very rough shape. And I'm just going to cover this in a chocolate buttercream. And then I'm going to layer up my cake, so I'm going to put chocolate buttercream between each layer. Now, I haven't gone right to the very edges, but I'm not too worried because I'm going to be cutting those edges off when we cut around the template. And you can use whatever flavour cake you want. Now, I haven't levelled off the top, but because his face is a little bit rounded, that's fine. We're going to be trimming this down anyway. So place that on to the top. Just using a sharp knife, cut around the edge of that template now. So like that. We're going to place this onto the cake board that we've cut out. And then I'm just going to start trimming little pieces off my cake now. So you do want a sharp knife for this, otherwise your cake will crumble. Also, if it is crumbling, just stick it in the freezer for 10 minutes just to firm it up a little bit. Now, I'm a little bit short on the top of his head, so I'm going to use a little bit of my cake offcut to just extend the top of his head a tiny bit there and a little bit just next to it. And I'm just trimming it down a little bit so it's level with the surface of his face. And once you've done that, I've cut out the eye holes in the template, place the template back on the cake, and then we're going to cut the sponge out from where his eyes are. Remove the template, and we're just going to cut slightly more, but just a little bit more of an angle, so we're not going too deep now. I'm just going to put this on a board just so it's easier for me to move it around when I'm working on it. Cover the whole cake in your buttercream. So I've got a chocolate buttercream here. You might find that you prefer to use ganache, whichever one you want. Ganache will set much harder than the buttercream. So just smooth it down as much as you can. Now, with this design, if you don't get it really smooth, it doesn't matter too much. And I'm just going to leave the head to one side and work on my board. So I've got some black fondant. I've just used the Renshaw's Ready Coloured one on here. I've just rolled it out nice and thin, placed it over my board, and then I'm trimming around the edge of my cake board. So this is the large cake board we had at the beginning. And we're just going to try and create a nice sort of space-like theme in the background. So I've got some different metallic food sprays. Now, it's kind of created some big blobs where I've sprayed a bit close, but that's fine. That looks nice for what we want on the space theme. And you don't have to worry about being too neat. And then what we're going to do is try and paint on a few stars. So again, just any of the edible food colours you've got. I've got the rainbow dust ones here. And if you get plenty on your brush, you can kind of flick it so it makes lots of stars at one time. Or if you want more accurate looking stars, just put tiny little dots on with the brush like that. And you can use a mix of all different metallic colours. I've just got a couple of different bronzes, golds and silvers. And then for the cake itself, I'm going to use a chocolate flavoured fondant. So this one's ready dyed brown for me. Again, it's just a Renshaw's one. It's quite dark in colour, so I'm going to add a little bit of normal white fondant to it so the colour just becomes a little bit paler. But it'll still keep that chocolatey fondant taste. And we're going to roll it out nice and thin, but big enough, or not too thin that it's going to tear. But it's going to be large enough that it's going to cover our cake. So gently get that on the cake. Give it a little rub, pressing gently around where the eye sockets are and around the edge, sort of creating the shape. And I'm just sticking the side of my little finger in to create sort of the top of his head so it looks more like wood bark. And we'll work on it a little bit more with a modelling tool, but you can do quite a bit with your fingers. And I'm just kind of pinching the tops just to give them slightly sharper edges. And we're going to trim all the excess from around the edge now. And keep hold of this excess, put it in a bag so it doesn't dry up because we're going to use it later for the body. And I'm just going to mark in where the eyes are going to go. So use your template for a guide. And I'm just giving it a light press down with my finger just to deepen that area for when we stick the eye in. And I'm going to put in the mouth. Now, you might find it easier to just put a little slit where the mouth is with some scissors in your template before you do it. And then once I've done that, I'm going to work on getting some lines in the fondant so it looks more like tree bark. You want to get this done before your fondant has too much time to dry up, otherwise it's going to crack when you're adding them. So I'm kind of going from the top downwards. And again, you don't have to be terribly neat, and it doesn't matter if it's not in exactly the same place as in the picture. And we're going to try and create a couple of little bits that look more like sort of eyebrows. So we're going to put little arches above his eyes. And again, we'll try and get what looks like layers of wood bark above there, so using lots of nice lines. Just be careful if you are pressing quite firmly that you're not cutting completely through the fondant to the cake. So we'll do it down the face. We'll just open up his mouth a little bit. Now I have torn the fondant a little bit in there, so we're going to just open that out, and what I'll do is I'll add an extra piece of fondant in a little bit to that. So I'm doing my lines a little bit deeper around the edges of the mouth, a bit like I did at the top of the head. So I've done that till it's fully covered all over the face. And I've just dyed some normal fondant now with chestnut. You can even use a bit of the leftover face colour if you can put plenty of the chestnut in, just to deepen it to a slightly warmer brown. So 2 balls of fondant in each eye. And then we want to use some black fondant that you've got left over from doing the board. I'm going to roll it flat and cut out quite a large circle for the centre of each eye, like so. Just covering the black in water so that when I add whites to the eyes, they're going to stick in. So back to my white fondant. Just 2 small balls that we're going to push in place. This is going to look like the light reflecting in the eyes. We'll do the same with a slightly smaller ball. And then again, another one. We'll make this one slightly more oval. We'll put this one the opposite side of the eye. So we're going to add that little piece now to the mouth where I pushed a little bit hard and went through to the cake. So just a tiny little sort of sausage shape. It's just going to go in the middle there, so it can look like his teeth or his tongue. And I'm just going to try and deepen around the edges of the eyes just a tiny bit, just by using a little bit of the chestnut food colour. And I've used it undiluted so that it's a nice strong colour. And it's not too obvious. If you don't want to put this bit in, you don't have to. You can leave it out. So it's starting to look a bit more like Baby Groot now. And we're going to give him some little eyelids. So I'm just going to cut some thin strips of the brown colour that we've used for like the face. And we're going to try and push them under each eye. So just lay that across the bottom half, and then we'll trim either end. Just give it a little nudge down in place with your modelling tool or with your finger. And we'll do the same on the top. I'll try and cut it to a point first this time, see if that makes it any easier. Bring it round where it meets that bottom one, and we'll give it a bit of a trim. Again, just give it a little nudge down so it stays in place. So if you prefer him without the little eyelids, you don't have to add this. You can leave him with his eye just exposed like it is on the left hand side at the moment. So this is where I've decided I'm going to take a little bit off. It's stuck slightly to the eye, and just add a few more little lines around his eyes. Do exactly the same with the other eye. So I've got a chocolate brown dust and like a sort of mossy olivey green one. It's a deep green, you want like a deep green. And then I've also got a little bit of black. We're not going to use a huge amount of black though. So these are the rainbow dust. These are edible dust, so you're okay to put these ones onto your cake. And I'm using a dry brush. We're starting with the green, so it looks a little bit like moss. And just lightly brush little dabs of it across the face. I've concentrated more on the top of his head. Again, you don't want this bit to be too neat. You want random little patches of it showing. So I've got a slightly thinner brush now just for around the eyes. Again, keeping it dry, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of the brown and black together. And I'm going to concentrate around the edge of that eye. Anywhere that there's going to be a shadow forming is going to be where we're going to deepen the colour. And we're going to do exactly the same with the other eye. And you can move to a slightly bigger brush if you find that easier. Okay, so we're going to just shade slightly under the eyebrow area and in the mouth. Again, we're still using a mix of black and brown, and just bring it out gradually from the bottom of that mouth, so going up and down. And then you want a few slightly deeper lines sort of coming across the face, or down the face I should say, for the woodbark effect. We're going to do this all over the face, and we'll also add the darker shading to the top, so plenty of brown mixed with your black up near the top end. Anywhere that you've got a deeper crack in the wood is where you'd have your shadow, so you're going to add the darker colour in there. So just keep going with that till you're happy. There's his face all finished. So we're going to move on to the body, and we're just going to create a body shape now with the leftover fondant. So there's no cake in this bit. I'm just going to mark out actually on my board where I want the body to go. Mine's probably not going to quite look identical to this one. So we'll give him some arms. So again, I've started with sausage shapes, just very roughly kind of squidge them on. Cut any extra off the edge of the board, and then we're going to start by drawing in like the wood lines. Do the same for the other one. So I'm going to create the body shape. I'll just hold a big lump of my fondant against the picture so I get a rough idea of size and shape. Then we'll push that onto the board. Obviously it doesn't quite look the same until we get the shape on there, so we'll trim around where the chest goes so we can see where to put our lines. Again, following the picture, just draw the lines where they're meant to be. So the neck bit, just make sure it's pressed quite flat to the board so that we can add the head on there nicely. And we're just going to dust this up in the same way that we did with the head, using the same colours, going for the areas that you want shaded nice and dark with a little bit of green on there so it looks like moss. I'm going to put a little bit of buttercream on my board where the head's going to go. Let's slip that head in place. There he is. So just a couple of bits now to finish him off, and I've dyed a deep green in some fondant that I had left over. And we're just going to push little patches onto him sort of texture it with the end of our Dresden tool so it looks like moss. I'll roll some thin long pieces, or maybe not that long, some little pieces with points that look like grass. We'll create some little leaves, just teardrop shapes with a little line through the middle. Stick those in place. And it's up to you how many of these you want to put on. Obviously have a look at your picture, see how many there are on there. I'm just making up on this one whereabouts I want them to go. And if they're not sticking, you can just add a tiny bit of water to them or edible glue. We'll add a bit more there. There he is, all finished. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram and more.